Hello everyone, today I am making a video in which I will tell you every single killer in Dead by Daylight, and if you main that killer, what that says about you. I've had this idea for a video for a while, and I noticed that there hasn't been an updated one of these in a very long time, so I figured I would make one. So first off, let's start with the original Dead by Daylight killer, the Trapper. You prefer to take things slow, and you enjoy being underestimated. Your biggest strength is careful planning, and your favorite moments are those when survivors begin to realize that those 4 gens that they did in 4 minutes mean absolutely nothing, and there is no way out because 3 of them just stepped in traps at the same time. Your carefully planned web of traps swings an otherwise survivor-sided game in seconds, because when you play the Trapper, the game is survivor-sided from the get-go. Next, we have the Wraith. With your total stealth and incredible speed always available at just a click, there is a lot to be done. The Wraith player goes very fast and has to keep a rhythm above all else. He cloaks, he scouts, he uncloaks, and he hits a survivor. This may seem silly to other players or even boring, but those who have tried the Wraith know the importance of rhythm. You have to flow like water from objective to objective until there are no more survivors. The Hillbilly. You have no pretenses of stealth, and you want survivors to know exactly who they're playing against as soon as the game begins. As like the opposite of the Trapper, but in other ways, his brother. You have no need for a leisurely pace with the astounding speed of your chainsaw. However, correct application of your power requires very high precision, quick thinking, and good tracking. The same skill that the Trapper uses to carefully lay his traps, you as the Hillbilly need to use to efficiently traverse the map and score chainsaw downs. The Nurse. You do not care about the rules of the game, and you are willing to do anything to break them if it means winning. In your case, teleportation is your hard-earned gift, while walking slower than survivors is your punishment. You wouldn't have it any other way, though, after all. You would not have chosen this killer if you weren't prepared to work hard to get good at it. The Shape. You demand to be appreciated and refuse to be taken for granted, and as such your weak early game causes you to take pleasure in turning the tables on survivors. The nature of your power often lulls survivors into a false sense of security, leading them to make a single game-ending mistake against one of your many extremely powerful add-ons. The Hag. You refuse to play by the unwritten survivor rules. However, unlike the Nurse, you wouldn't go so far as to just break the rules of the game outright. You torment survivors by bending and changing the way they play forcibly. Your power and its add-ons give you creativity in how exactly you do it, maybe through teleportation, or body blocking, or silent jump scares. But similar to the Trapper, you love good area denial. You're a bit more hasty than your trapping cousin, though, as you want to be there right now when someone steps on a trap. Lucky for you, your traps are designed with exactly that in mind. The Doctor. You want to extract as much salt, annoyance, and pain from survivors as you possibly can. As your power does not directly damage survivors, you find it hard to end games against very good loopers. But as long as you keep the shocks going long enough, there's no need to rush, because if you're not chasing them, even if you're not chasing them, survivors never are allowed to rest against you. Constant reveals through walls, impossible skill checks, very annoying builds, and snap-out-of-it timers see to that. You are here to bask in survivors' discomfort, even if you don't always win. The Huntress. You value skill and simplicity. If you see a survivor, why shouldn't you be able to damage them? And you certainly can, provided you have good enough aim. However, this power's extremely high damage output forces you to be somewhat methodical, even if you would prefer to just throw all your hatchets at once. But you're okay with that in the end, because you're confident in yourself and your ability to aim well. The Cannibal. Some people want to watch the world burn. In this case, some people is you. You wanted a killer who instantly strikes fear into survivors' hearts without even being seen, like the Hillbilly. But it's not just that. You want to be the scariest killer out there because you play off of survivors' main source of hope, their teammates. Sacrificing Hillbilly's speed and difficult inputs for a devastating multi-down chainsaw attack You are the most brutal mistake punisher the game has to offer, and you couldn't care any less about their whining. You are here to make Survivor chilly, not give them a hug and a kiss goodnight. The Nightmare. You want to put survivors to sleep with your gameplay. No, I'm joking. The dream palettes on Freddy are actually pretty funny, but I genuinely couldn't think of anything for Freddy because of how he is as a killer compared to how he is in his movies. You have to really, really like Nightmare on Elm Street to be maining Freddy right now. However, I still think the concept of putting survivors into an alternate world is very cool. I just don't know what to say about this killer because I don't think it's very well executed on him. The Pig. You are a stealthy, scheming killer, an unlikely villain in an unassuming body. You may not have true stealth, but you still make do. But above all is your desire for survivors to meet a completely unfair end. Reverse bear traps are 100% RNG. This is known, and many people wish it to be changed. But with them, the pig can provide more slowdown than 2 ruin totems combined. Or, she provides as much slowdown as a ruin totem that has a survivor spawn directly in front of it. This is the driving force behind the pig player, forcing survivors into unfair, rigged decisions. There is nothing in Dead by Daylight that feels worse than dying to a pig trap, and as the pig player, you feed off of this, and it makes you stronger. The Clown. You are here to have a good time, and you are generally a calm and chill person. Things in this game are funny to you, and that's probably why you gravitated toward the killer who laughs after every hit or even every pallet stun. I know, the Doctor does that too, but not after an actual hit. To add to the humor, you play off of people's fear of clowns. Throw in a little bit of projectile skill with the bottles, and the profile of the clown player is clear. As the clown, you load in to vibe, have a giggle, and pelt survivors with crystal meth. The Spirit. Some killers in this game require you to read the survivor's mind more than others. You have to guess where they're going, or call them out when they dodge, fake, or drop a pallet. You could not get enough of that. You needed more. So you picked the killer that takes this to the ultimate extreme, the Spirit. Your brain is quite large, but it's actually small compared to your studio quality headset and the ridiculous amount of money you paid for it. But have fun being able to hear exactly how many centimeters that Dwight with Iron Will is away when you are using phase. The Legion. You don't like to slow down. You are boundless, energetic, and edgy. You were also that kid in high school that was really obsessed with drawing pictures of guns and knives. Breaking pallets and doors are boring to you. If you controlled the game for a day, you would probably give all of the killers Myers Tombstone add-ons and AoE basic attacks, because after all, why shouldn't you? Is what the Legion player would probably say. The Plague. You are a thinking man or woman, unfazed by non-traditional gameplay loops. Similar to the pig, you relish forcing survivors into an unfair decision. This is common knowledge, but the Plague player is not easily grossed out. Some say they even take satisfaction in turning survivors' stomachs and covering everything in vomit. Or you just unlocked her for corrupt intervention. It could be either one, since that's the best killer perk in the whole game. The Ghostface. You are a funny guy. Maybe even the class clown. Comedic timing is everything to you. Horror game with no jump scares? What? You thought before you bought Ghostface. Seeing a survivor clearly jerk their mouse into the sky after revealing you is the greatest possible pleasure in your eyes. Winning doesn't really matter as much as getting some good scares and funny moments to the Ghostface player. The Demogorgon. You either really like Stranger Things, or you really love monsters in movies, since this is actually the only monster killer in the whole game. Other than that, Demogorgon players are generally nice people, and they tend to value fairness and balance. That, or like I said, they just really like Stranger Things. The Oni. It's no secret that you have a temper, but what most people don't know about you is that it is not blind rage. You know exactly what you're doing, and that's why you didn't pick up those 2 survivors you just downed in Blood Fury, demon dashed into a wall, and realized that both of them had Unbreakable. But for real, you know what you're doing, and you're not going to stop playing Oni until you get that 4-man down with a single Blood Fury game. Fun fact, I got that in my 3rd Oni game ever. The Death Slinger. You are one of 2 things, an FPS veteran, or you really like cowboys. Deathslinger was my first main when I was new, because just like I said, I'm an FPS veteran. You stroll through the match at a leisurely pace, not caring about your 110% movement speed, because you know you don't miss. Distance doesn't really matter, windows and small loops don't really matter, because again, you don't miss. The Pyramid Head. I mean, the Executioner, the Big Dorito, the Conehead. You really, really don't like hook perks. Borrowed Time, Decisive Strike, Sabotage builds, they make you want to puke. So you just ignore them. You are built to drink survivor tears, stealing their precious second chances from them in the form of hook perks, pallets, and windows. But that doesn't mean you're a low-skilled, easy killer. You had to practice a lot to land Punishment of the Damned on a person that's vaulting a window sideways at the end of your range. And you know all of the best trail patterns on each loop. You relish the looming dread of a second hook survivor who just stepped on Torment. After all, you are basically a god of punishment, and those survivors certainly deserve it. The Blight. You just can't stop going. And I can say with certainty that you have at least passed geometry class. Well, most of you. But you were probably a hillbilly player before Blight came out, because there's nothing more fun for you than going fast. You're also the kind of player who really likes to speedrun in games. The words tech and exploit make you very aroused in any context. I feel like that's all I really need to say about the Blight. I'm confident I called out at least half of you with the hillbilly comment. The Twins. You're a contrarian, or a masochist. You saw that no one plays the Twins, and you made it your mission to only play the Twins. You just can't stop begging for more punishment from behavior in the form of completely useless add-ons, terrible skins, and quote-unquote bug fixes that cause Victor to fall out of the map or get kicked through walls or whatever the Twins are dealing with these days. The Trickster. You looked at Huntress and thought, I like this, but it's a little bit too simple. Trickster players tend to play a little more defensively because they're at their best in those moments where a survivor is forced into the open, only to eat 16 knives and die instantly, because you know how to control that recoil even at a distance and compensate for the speed boost they get when they're injured. That, or you're one of those girls that is creepily obsessed with serial killers. Legion, Julie, and Susie would probably be buying Trickster albums if they weren't in the game. The Nemesis. You are the big boy, the lethal pursuer. You probably play Nemesis for his full tilt sprint running animation and his insanely powerful chase music. You love chasing, and you could not care any less about generators. You love chases so much that you picked the killer that has to hit survivors 3 times, just so you could chase more. Or you just really hate Jill and Leon. One or the other, probably. Pinhead. Diabolical in your approach, you want to suffocate survivors with mind games and side objectives. The Pinhead player's favorite thing is when a survivor can't break the chains in time to make it to the pallet or the window, or someone doing the box in your terror radius just so you can snipe them with a chain, and all that time they just spent running to the box is useless. There's a real look of defeat on that survivor's face. I've played enough Pinhead to experience it myself. Smacking the box out of a survivor's hands with Franklin's demise, knowing that they probably only went for it because their solo queue teammates wouldn't do it, the Pinhead player is a true sadist. The Artist. You are probably a doctor player that got tired of getting looped as an M1 killer. You really want that information, but what if it had infinite range, you asked as you hovered over the buy button on the Artist. Artist mains, let me know in the comments, what is it about her that draws you to her? Because my experience is that she's boring to play and boring to play against. That's all I have to say about her. Lastly, we have the Onryo, the newest killer. You do love a good scare, similar to the Ghostface, but you're more serious, with a lot of good map traversal options and loot mine games with your manifesting animations. Similar to the Pyramid Head player, you love the feeling of looming dread through a conditional Mori. You're also a sucker for great sound design, and you could eat pallets all day and not even care, because the pallet breaking sound is just so crisp. You picked this killer because you wanted survivors to fear you, and when they realize they've all spawned in holding a tape, they certainly do. That's going to do it for all of the killers. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you did, and let me know in the comments if you liked the video.